Let's discuss. Let's talk about California minimum wage being $20 and how that will be beneficial to the employees, but yet detrimental to the business and the business sector or the business owners. Put a 1 down in the chat if you believe the fact that wages may go up, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you believe this is beneficial to the employee. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe that it's detrimental to the business owners. Put a 3 in the chat if you believe this is beneficial to the shareholders. Now, raising a business minimum wage, we know employees are the most, it costs the most in the business structure, right? So for you to be going from $15, $16 an hour or minimum wage, it varies on states. Drop what your minimum wage is down in the chat. If you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Chicago, if you're in Florida, if you're in California, Nevada, if you're in Texas, the big state, let me know what your minimum wage is. Because to me, minimum wage is actually detrimental to the business owner. If the business aren't making as much and they pay their employees more money, right? Just follow me here. They pay their employees more money, which means that they're losing. As a business owner, you're losing profit. If you're losing profit, you have to find a way how to gain profit, which means that the products that your employees are selling or maintaining has to go up. So someone is going to get hit with the bill, and most likely it's going to be the consumer. If the consumer is paying more, right, for the same product, say for instance, McDonald's, for example, if the consumer has been paying, let's just say, $8.99 for a Whopper or cheeseburger, right? And now, since the employee, he get a raise, he or she get a raise, it means that the price of the actual Whopper must get a raise too. Meaning that it now costs $16 instead of $8, which means that you're shunning the customers away. If you have no customers, you have no business. Let me repeat. If you have no customer, you have no business. Smash that like button if you agree. Tell a friend to tell a friend. But watch this. And this is right here from PBD podcast. I'm going to drop a link down below. But watch this.
That was thinking about getting a government job because it's more safe, more stable, and they're willing to pay off your student loan 10 years later.
Listen.
I want you to consider this California Congresswoman running for Senate who's calling for a $50 minimum wage. True
What?
Story. Sweetheart of a lady. Let's go through it.
$50 minimum wage.
Page number 4. Democratic
Hold on.
Representative.
$50 minimum wage, right? You're putting every business out of business. The side effect of this is business is going to start closing their business and or leading to what? AI, leading to robotics, anything that will make sure that they can eliminate the cost of employment and transfer that into the profit margin. And the shareholders, let me tell you, the shareholders only care about making profit. So you would think, hey, I'm working for a company and they have my best interest. No, they don't. You're not a shareholder. Their best interest is in the shareholder. They will cut you, right? They will downsize. They will trim the fat, trim the excess fat. They will fire you just to make sure that their shareholders, their original investors, right, are churning a return. So the shareholders, to me, are way more important. At least this is with the business. If you study business, the shareholders are twice as much as important as the employee. The employee is always the first to go. The shareholders are generally the last to go. Smash that like button. Leave your comments down below. But what y'all think about a $50 price a $50 minimum wage. The next thing is UBI, universal basic income, because what are they going to do with these excess amount of people? The middle class is over with. It's always been about the money, right? It's never been a race war. It's a class war. It's always been about the money. We're in a capitalistic society, and where they believe in capital gains. That's why it's being taxed. So if you're not in for profit, these businesses aren't non-profits. They're not. So the fact that a governor, Democrat, will propose such law, he or she may not ever own a business. How are you planning on making profit by paying the employee more than the business is actually making? That's a recipe for disaster. But let's continue.
Barbara, why is it all Democrats or Barbaras?
All Barbaras.
Right? Barbara Lee is defending her call for $50 minimum wage. I think you're thinking too small, Barbara. We got to go to 100. Okay?
100.
$50 minimum wage. That's more than 6 times the current federal minimum wage in the U.S. Lee is running in a competitive Senate race to fill the seat of the late Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein. She argues California cannot get by on less than $100,000 due to the state's cost of living crisis. Lee was asked during a Senate debate on Monday how her $50 an hour minimum wage proposal would be economically sustainable for small businesses. She claimed,
that's the part I don't understand. Pause. That's the part. How will this be sustainable for everyday or daily business? It won't. They would never make minimum wage $50. They barely want to do $20. $20 is still putting a lot of businesses out of business. That's almost $50. That's almost $100,000 a year. Before taxes, of course. But still. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about this subject. Are you for wages increase, or are you okay with it being what it is? Or should we as people find other innovative ways in order to do daily business, which we're currently online conducting business as we speak. But let's continue.
He has been a small business owner who's created hundreds of jobs and argued employees need to be taken care of and have a living wage. Just do the math, Lee said during the debate. The current national minimum wage, $7.25, California minimum wage, $16. Just do the math. Honestly, is this really what you...
If I just do the math ain't math. Put the math is not matting down below in the chat if you agree. From the perspective of a business owner, of course, if you're an employee, you will love that all day long. But most employees don't understand how the business works. That's why they're simply just employees. They play their part. That's it. Anything outside of their norm, they won't understand. You got to jump outside of that. Look at it not from a personal point of view, but from a business point of view. Look at it from different angles. Jump outside of your norm. But let's continue.
Can I ask the question? Can I just see the way she says it? I'm actually really curious.
He's smiling already.
Go ahead.
You're calling for a $50 an hour federal minimum wage.
What?
That's 7 times the current national minimum wage of $7.25 an hour.
Crazy.
Can you explain how that would be economically sustainable for small businesses? You have 60 seconds.
First, let me say I owned and ran a small business for 11 years. I created hundreds of jobs. Benefits, retirement benefits, also healthcare benefits. I know what worker productivity means, and that means that you have to make sure that your employees are taken care of and have a living wage. In the Bay Area, I believe it was the United Way, came out with a report that very recently, $127,000 for a family of 4 is just barely enough to get by. Another survey very recently, $104,000 for a family of 1.
You can stop it.
Barely enough to get by.
Here's the question.
Yeah.
She says the math doesn't add up. Exactly. The math doesn't add up. Why do you think Big Macs are 18 bucks now? Some of these places are selling it for the combos for 18 bucks. Because if you...
I just said the same point. I'm gonna leave the link down below. It's a 12-minute video, right? But I just said the same point. Go check PBD out. Go check his podcast out, Valuetainment. To me, it's a great podcast. It's a great podcast. Go check it out. But I just said the same thing. What's gonna happen is simply this. Okay, if we gotta pay the minimum wage of, let's just hypothetically say $50, right? Me as a business owner, why would I pay the employee that when I can say, hey, let's invest in AI for security? Boom. We can cut the cost of that. Hey, let's invest in robotics for employees. Cut it like that. Now I see why from the business section, right? They're like, okay, if these people want a raise, we have to do without them or figure out ways or invest in ways that we can still operate our day-to-day business without using one human because the overhead is too high, from life insurance to 401k to health benefits to actually paying them. It's too high. It's eating up our profit margin. So like he just said, it's a reason why the products and the services are being inflated as well. From grocery prices, right? This is true in everyday life. Smash that like button if you agree. From grocery prices is being inflated. That's one. From from services, if you go to the mechanic lately, or if you go to any form of servicing, maybe get a back massage, price have dramatically increased. Your wages didn't, but everything around you costs more. So if you get a raise, then everything around you, again, would then cost even more than what your raise is. Saying it all to say, the inflation is now transferred from the business owner having to pay that expense. It transfers all the way to the employee, which then gets a wage increase, would then transfer all the way to the products or services these employees use in order to maintain the business, the daily business. So the consumer gets hit with the price. The actual product and the services, it get hits with inflation as well. That's why $8 Big Mac is now $16 to $18 now, because McDonald's supposedly hypothetically got a raise. So they said, okay, cool. Now what is McDonald's working on? McDonald's is one of the first restaurants. This is a fact, right? Don't believe anything I say. Look it up yourself. But this is a fact. McDonald's is one of the first restaurants in Texas that had a fully automated restaurant, meaning that no human beings were allowed. They ran the drive-through simply by machine and AI. So if that's happening, and it's only 2024, if y'all read the global trend report of 2030 and the 2040, you will know that most of these restaurants have no choice but to come automated. The world is going to be on a UBI, universal based income, because the employee is going to feud with the business owner. The business owner is going to tired of people complaining on his or her team and going to replace them with something like AI or robotics that can't complain, that just do the daily work, input, output, just to drive up the profit margins. So the shareholders are definitely not going to complain, because the business owner is going to find ways for the shareholders to keep on getting paid or to keep on churning profit. So ultimately, the people that really lose in this situation are the people that's dependent on the job, which is the employees. Who y'all think's the first to go? Is it A? Put an A in the chat if it's employees. Put a B in the chat if it's the business owners. Put a C in the chat if it's put an A in the chat if it's employees. Put a B in the chat if you think it's the business owners. Put a C in the chat if you think it's the shareholders. Who is the first to go? The first on the cutting block. Ding, ding, ding. The answer is the employee. The answer is the employee. They're disposable. They're literally disposable. Make sure that you are gaining other skills in other areas, like how to program these machines, how to maintain these machines, anything that goes along with that nature. Because the way I see it is, the middle class is over. It's either you have or you have not. There's no in between. And 99% of people don't have, and only 1% of people have. It's a big line between the pool and the ocean. On that note, smash that like button, tell a friend and tell a friend. This is the beginning, this is not the end. Another episode of the Healthy Discussion Show. Don't forget to leave them comments down below. Ding, 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 ding. Smash that bell notification so you can keep with the daily updates. And remember, positivity over negativity always. Peace, blessings, and love. We out.